Hello, friends. Welcome back to MathsGenii, and I am here, Sanyukta Sharma, with a new topic complex numbers. Now, before even starting what complex number is, let's look at why complex numbers or imaginary numbers exist, or why was there a need to have such a number called imaginary number in first place. Now we all know what real numbers are. Anything that you can represent on the number line. We have done entire series on real numbers. You can check the basic concept video in the same channel. So real numbers is anything which can be represented on a number line. Now let's look at what imaginary numbers are. So there's a question on board. Think about this. Till now, till the time you had not studied imaginary number or complex number, you were told, can you take square root of a negative number? You were told no, correct? But with imaginary number, it is possible. So your answer is yes, you can take square root of a negative number. So minus root 2. In your earlier standard, you were taught that you cannot take square root of a negative number. But now we will see with this example. Now this is an equation. If this was the equation, x square minus 1 is equal to 0. So it was easy, right? X square is equal to minus 1 goes that side, becomes plus 1. X is equal to square goes that side, becomes square root. Square root of 1 is what? 1 itself. But in this example, x square is equal to plus 1 goes that side, becomes minus 1. Does square root of minus 1 exist? No. But in our case, it does. So you write, instead of square root of minus 1, now onwards, from this to your higher studies, you will write square root of minus 1 as I. So what is the value of I? What is the value of I? It is square root of minus 1. Okay. Now, how is a complex number denoted? It is denoted as Z. How do you write a complex number? Any number in the form of AI. I is the imaginary part. This is the imaginary part, and plus B. This is the real part. Okay. Now let's do a small activity. If you have understood this, a very small activity, you can pause the video, write down the answers, and again play the video. Now in this, what is the real part? 7. Absolutely correct. What is the imaginary part? Minus 9. Minus 9. So here I'm writing I. So this is your imaginary part. Minus 9 is your imaginary part. Then in this question, is there any real part? No. So real is 0. And is there any imaginary part? Yes. It is minus 6. Now in this question, 6 is a real part. Does it have any imaginary part? No. So this was a small exercise for your real and imaginary numbers. Okay. Now I'm going to show you a cycle. And this cycle is very, very important. Okay. Now let me write it down. The value of I is equal to, you should know these values. Okay. Once you practice more, you will be able to remember these values even without solving, because you would have practiced a lot. You can easily derive it too. Okay. Now, if you look at I value, what did I tell you? What is the value of I? It's minus 1 root, square root of minus 1. What will be the value of I square? So in place of I, what am I writing? I'm writing square root of minus 1. And this square this square as it is. So square root and square gets cancelled. The value is minus 1. So what is the value of I square? I square's value is minus 1. Now let's look at the next question. I cube. What is I cube? I square into I. Can I write it like this? I square into I. Correct? What is the value of I square? What is the value of I square? It is minus 1 into I as it is. So it will become I into minus 1 is minus I. Anything into 1 is that number itself. I raised to 4. How can I write I raised to 4? I raised to 4 can be written as I square square. Correct? I square square. What is I square? What is I square? I square is minus 1. I square square. Minus 1 square. Any negative number square is always positive. So this is the most important value. I raised to 4 is the most important value. We are going to use it in a shortcut. Hence I am writing it again here. I raised to 4 value is pure 1. No negative sign, nothing. Simple 1. So I raised to 4 is the most important value. Okay. Now I raised to 5. I raised to 5 can be similarly found out. I cube into I raised to 2. 3 plus 2, 5, right? So what is I cube? Where is I cube? I cube is minus I. What is I square? I square is minus 1. So minus minus gets cancelled out and your answer remains as I. So what is the value of I phi? It is I. So similarly, you can go ahead and calculate till I 100, I 1000, I lakh. Okay. Now this was the basic concept. I suggest you take a screenshot of this. Now I have prepared a table in which all the basic concepts on how to add the complex number, how to multiply, how to divide the complex number, everything will be covered. Okay, we're going to solve this step by step. Okay, first let's just focus, don't look anywhere else, just focus on addition. Okay, this is your example and this is your hint. What is the hint? Add real number with real number, add complex number with complex number. Now let's solve the example. What is the example? Add the complex numbers. Very simple. This is one complex number, this is another complex number denoted by z1 z2. Now I have to add z1 plus z2. What is my z1? 3 plus 2i. What is my z2? 1 plus 7i. What is asked in the question? To add. Now what did I tell you? Add real number with real number. This is real and this is real. Correct? So what will be the answer? 4. Then again, this is imaginary number and this is imaginary number. So 7 plus 2, 9i. Simple. So you understood what the hint was. Add real number with real number, add complex number with complex number. Now let's look at multiplication. Let's look at how to multiply. Now we saw addition, now we'll be seeing multiplication. Again, very simple. Very, very simple. Okay. As you multiply brackets in normal algebra, it's the same. First term is multiplied by both these terms. So I'm going to multiply 3 ones are 3 plus 3 sevens are 21 and I is beside. So I'm going to write I. Next, second term multiplied with both the terms in the bracket. So 2i into 1, anything into 1 is that number itself, plus 2 sevens are 14, I into I square, correct? Now let's go ahead. 3 plus 21i plus 2i plus 14. Students, what was the value of I square? Go back to the table. What was the value of I square? Minus 1. So instead of I square, can I write minus 1? Instead of I square, I've written minus 1. Now it is very simple. Again, addition, real number with real number. So 3 is a real number. Minus 14 is a real number. 3 minus 14 is minus 11. And add imaginary number with imaginary number. 21i plus 2i gives me 21 plus 2, 23i. Understood? So we have used here addition concept also. Now let's look at something very interesting. Okay, conjugates. Multiply by conjugate. Now what is conjugate? I'll tell you. Very, very simple. If you have, we'll take example of conjugate. Okay. If you have 3 plus 2i, the conjugate of this is going to be 3, 2i as it is. Here you have plus. In conjugate, it becomes minus. Okay. Let's take one more example for conjugate. If you have 4 minus 5i and you have to find conjugate, 4 and 5i remains as it is and the conjugate minus becomes plus. So this is your conjugate. Here we have a very beautiful formula which is a plus bi into its conjugate is equal to a square plus b square. We are going to apply it, don't worry. We are going to see the application also. For example, in the question is 4 minus 5i. What will be the conjugate of this? It will be 4 and 5i as it is. What will become of the minus sign? It will become plus. So in this case, your a, your a is what? A is 4. This is your a. What is your b? B is 5. This is a, this is b. Does it look like the formula a minus bi, a plus bi? Is it matching? Yes, it is matching. So therefore, what is the formula? A square plus b square. What is my a? A is 4 square. What is my b? B is 5. So 5 square. 16 plus 25 gives you 41. Okay, that was not important. The answer is not important. The application, the understanding of application is important. Okay, now let's look at how to divide. How do you divide a complex number? Division of complex number. What is the hint? Conjugate. In division, what I have written in hint is conjugate. Now let's use this hint and solve the question. So this is your question, for example. 2 plus 3i, 4 minus 5i. Your first step should be always to find conjugate. What is the and conjugate of denominator? What is the denominator? 4 minus 5i. What is going to be the conjugate of this? 4 and 5i as it is. The conjugate of minus will be plus. Okay, this is your step 1. Now what is your step 2? Step 2 is multiply and divide question by its conjugate. Okay, this is your second step. So let me copy the question. 2 plus 3i upon 4 minus 5i. Multiply and divide by its conjugate. What is the conjugate? 4 plus 5i. Okay, now we just studied a property. This is your A. See, conjugates multiplication. We just studied a property above. Conjugates multiplication. This is your A and this is your B. So when you multiply this, okay, let us just write first. Let's not skip the steps. So this is numerator multiplied, denominator multiplied. Okay. Now what will we do, students? Now we will find out what is A, what is B. So can I write the denominator as A square plus B square according to the formula? Remember, A square plus B square is the formula. So A square plus B square. Now let's multiply this. This multiplied with both of this. 2 4s are 8 plus 2 5s are 10i. Then let's multiply this with this. 3i into 4, 12 plus 5 3s are 15, I into I square. Okay. So 8 plus this is I, 10 plus 12, 22i. In place of I square, what can I write? Minus 1. In place of, because I square value is minus 1. Because I square is equal to minus 1 always. Okay. 16 plus 25, 41. Then real number with real number, 8 will get subtracted from 15. 8 minus 15 gives you minus 7 plus 22i as it is upon 41. Let's just separate it out. 41 will go to 7 also and 41 will go to 22 also. Okay, so this was your division. First step is take out conjugate, then multiply divide by its conjugate. Now let's look at a trick. Okay, what is the trick? What will you do when you have to find answers for big numbers? What will you do then? So for example, you have to find the value of I99. Okay, what will you do in this case? You can't write a table of I square, I cube, right? So there is a trick. Divide it by 4 first. Now why I am telling you to divide by 4? Remember, I4 value is 1. Okay, I4 value is 1. So to bring that 1, the pure 1, I am doing division by 4. So whatever number is there. So for example, here you have 99. I'll divide it by 4. Okay? 4 2s are 8. 1 carry 19. 4 4s are 16. Okay? 3. Now I have a value. Now what I'll do is I will write, I have divided this by 4, right? 4 into 24 into I into 3. Okay? It is the same thing. 24 fours are 96. 24 96 plus 3 99. So this is the same thing. Instead of 99, I have segregated it in this way. Okay? Now, can I write I24 in the bracket and 4 on its top? Doesn't matter. Into I cube. Now, anything I raised to 4, any I raised to 4 is what? 1. So this will become 1. What you will be left out with is I cube. And I cube value I know. I'll go back to the table. I'll see what the value of I cube is. I cube value is minus 1. So 1 into I cube is I cube. And what's the value of I cube? It is minus 1. So the trick was, let any big number come, divide it by 4 and write it in this way. We'll do one more example. Okay? Don't worry. We'll do one more example. Let's find the value of I17. Okay? Same trick I'm going to use. Same trick. I17. For finding I17, let's divide 17 by 4. Okay? 4 4s are 16. Remainder 1. Okay? Now what I have taught you is write I into I. Okay? 4 into 4. 4 into 4. And remainder is 1. Okay? Can I write I4 into 4 into I? I raised to 1 is I only. What is what is I raised to 4? What is I raised to 4 value? Pure 1. Pure 1. Into I. 1 into I is I. What is the value of I? It is root of minus 1. Or you can simply keep it as I. Okay? What is the value of I? I is root minus 1, right? You have to by heart this slide too. If not by heart, then you should be able to derive the way I have derived. Okay, these examples are enough, I think. Now let's jump to your questions from your book. Now this is a question that has come from your solved examples. A very important one, that is why I've decided to take it. Now you look at this equation where x and y are real numbers. Find the value of x and y. Okay, this is a question which is very simple. Okay, I'm just changing color and writing it for the ease of understanding. Okay, I'm writing whatever values are there with I, which has I, I'm writing it in red. Now it's very simple. Compare real number with real number. Comparing. Or you can write it as equating the real and imaginary parts. Real and imaginary parts. What is the real number in this? Real number is something which is without I. So this does not have I and this does not have I. So 4x is equal to 3. X is equal to, this is in multiply, goes there, becomes divide. So I already got the value of x. Now I need to find y. Similarly, I will equate imaginary parts. Imaginary parts as in the one which has I. So here besides I, what is there? It is 3x minus y. equal to, here besides I you have minus 6. Now 3 into, I already have value of x, I'm going to put it, substitute. Rest all equation remains as it is. Okay. Now this becomes 3 3s are 9 upon 4 minus y is equal to minus 6. Minus y goes that side, becomes plus y. Minus 6 comes this side, becomes plus 6. Now it's very simple. 6 4s are 24. 24 plus 9, 33. Upon 4 is equal to y. So you have the value of x as well as value of y. This was one of the questions that has been taken from your textbook. Okay. Now let's look at few more examples again from your textbook. I'll just run it very quickly. Now you are having the base of how to solve the questions. Let's multiply this. Bracket means multiplication. Minus sign as it is. 5 threes are 15 upon 5. Okay. Then I into I square, correct? Minus sign as it is. 5 ones are 5, 5 threes are 15. What is the value of I square? What is the value of I square? Look at the table. Minus 1. What is the value of y square? Minus 1. So this minus and this minus gets cancelled. Your answer is positive 3. So within seconds, you were able to multiply these two equations or answers. Now we will be looking at the second question from your textbook. Here we are going to use the shortcut trick that I had taught you. I9 plus I19 he's asking. So I know what to do. 9 I'll divide with 4. 4 2s are 8. 1. So instead of 9, what I'm going to write is 4 2s are 8. And what is the remainder? 1. Okay. This was for this and for this plus 4 2s are 8 plus 1 9. So I've written 9 but in a different way. Okay. Now let's look at 19. 19 shortcut I have taught you. What is the shortcut for any bigger number? Divide by 4. 4 4s are 16. 3. Then how do you write it? 4 into 4. I into I. So how do you write it? 4 into 4. And what is the remainder? 3. So what is the value? What is the value of I4? I4 value is 1. So instead of I4 both, I'm going to write 1. And what is remaining? I'm going to copy it as it is. I raised to 1 is I cube as it is. Now 1 into anything is 1 itself, plus 1 into anything is that number itself, 1 into anything is that number itself. Okay. Now I as it is. What is the value of I cube? Go behind and check what is the value of I cube. I cube value is minus I. So instead of I cube, I am writing minus I. Plus minus I minus I 0. Okay, so here we have used the 4 divide by 4 shortcut. Okay. Now we'll do one more tricky question, last question, and then we will wrap it up. Let me take a bigger question for you. This is again from your textbook. The question says 1 upon 3 plus I 7 upon 3 plus 4 plus I 1 upon 3 minus 4 upon 3 plus I. Okay. A bigger question, but don't worry, it's a very simple question. Okay. What I'm going to do is, here you have addition sign, correct? So let's add first. Let's look at this bracket first. Okay. Now what I have taught you, add real number with real number. What is the real number in this? 1 upon 3 plus 1 upon 4. So I'm going to write it together, 1 upon 3 plus 4. What is the imaginary number? I'm going to write this together, I 7 upon 3 plus I 1 upon 3. Okay. This minus multiply with this, minus multiply with this. So minus minus becomes plus. So this will become minus 4 upon 3. And this minus multiplied with this plus, this minus multiplied with this plus is going to give you minus. Okay, now this minus sign is also removed. Now let's concentrate inside the bracket quickly. 1 upon 3 plus 4. 4 3s are 12. 12 plus 1, 13. So this will become 13 upon 3 plus I you can add I as it is. 7 upon 3 plus 1 upon 3. Upon 3 is common. 7 plus 1, 8. Okay, plus this as it is. Now I have solved the bracket. Now again, real number with real number, imaginary with imaginary. 13 plus 3 plus 4 upon 3. Upon 3 common, I'll write it once. 13 plus 4, 17. Okay. And next, again very simple. Imaginary with imaginary. So, 8 upon 3. I will come as it is. 8 upon 3 minus 1. 3 ones are 3. 8 minus 3 is 5. 5 upon 3. So here you have plus 5 upon 3. Okay. Imaginary number with imaginary, real with real. So to sum it up, we looked at how to add, how to multiply, and how to divide. You keep these hints in mind, you will be able to solve any question. Lastly, before I go, this is the most important slide. You might as well make a chart of it and read it every day so that you will be proficient with the concepts. See you soon in the next lectures. Thank you for your time. Keep practicing, keep learning.